Without further ado, I guess we're going to jump into the next speaker, which is Dan from ChainShot, who's going to talk about smart contract code challenges. Hey, Dan.
Hey, John. How you doing?
Good, doing well, thanks. You ready?
Yep, ready to go.
Go ahead.
Cool. So first off, I want to just let you all know that if I mute my audio, the reason is there have been some sirens going up and down my street. So it's been kind of loud the last 10 minutes. Hopefully we'll get lucky and you won't hear any of those. But if I do mute my mic, that is why. So hello. Yeah, my name is Dan Nolan. I'm from ChainShot. So ChainShot is a platform for building smart contracts and learning how to do that. Today, what I want to do is dive into a bit of an interactive code exercise that would be kind of fun if you want to join us in the browser. So if you are prepared to do so, I'll show you how to jump into this session. Watching it will still be fun, but I think it'll be a lot more fun if you join us regardless of your programming skills. Hopefully this will still be something that is exciting and fun to do. So you'll see below me, there is some instructions here on how to join it. And we'll also be posting that in the Twitch comments, the chat for some instructions on how to get in there. I'm going to show you kind of how to get in there now on my screen share. So let me see if I can do that. So if you go to the ChainShot site here, you'll see under courses, we have a ETHDenver course just for this week. So if you want to enroll in this, it'll be taken down next week. So make sure to enroll in it this week. You will have to enroll in it in order to join into this session. So all you have to do is just go into enroll, sign up, just put in an email, a username if you want to be pseudo-anonymous here. So I'll just go ahead and show you kind of what that would be. So Dan test123, chainshot.com. And what this will do is it'll enroll me into the course. And then the first thing that you'll see is this live class session. And then you can jump in here, and then you can jump into the session by clicking here. And then we'll see you over here inside of the classroom session once you are in there. So I see one person has joined already. Two. Cool. So once you get in there, we'll start these things off. What we're going to do is we're going to have several sessions of code where each time I'll wait until about half of the class is completed to move on. And I'll explain the code challenges as we go into each one. It sounds like a siren is coming, so give me just a moment. I might have to mute. Okay, still kind of far out. So we'll jump into the code exercises here. So once everyone is prepared, you'll be able to watch this on the live stream, or you'll also be able to code along with us. So I'll go ahead and demonstrate what the goal of this particular smart contract challenge is. So in this one, we have this contract that has a function called average, which is going to return, the goal of this one is to return the average of A, B, and C. So in this case, we have three unsigned integers. So you can just think of these as numbers that don't have a sign, right? So you can just kind of assume they are all positive. In this case, don't worry about doing any sort of safe math, balance checking, or anything like that. This goal, the goal of this stage is just to get the average of these three numbers, and you can assume that is evenly divisible by 3 or evenly divisible by 3. So that's the goal of this particular stage. Find the average, return it, and then you'll pass these test cases. To be able to do that, just run the tests up top. You'll see the little run test button, and then we'll be able to check in on everyone from there. So yeah, everyone go ahead and give it a try, and we'll be watching people to see how they do. It looks like JD 2047 has already completed it. So very, very quick on that one. Nice job. Oh, wow. I see quite a few more people just jumped in. Yeah, feel free to take a shot at this first introductory stage. It'll get a little bit more challenging from here. So I want to see as many people try to pass this one as possible. Be careful with your arithmetic here. There is a little bit of an order of operations thing going, which you can use parentheses, might be helpful. Cool. So, J Miles, the only thing you need to do there is just put like a uint in front of your total and your mean just to declare those variables. You just need to give them a type. So if you do uint mean and uint total, you'll have that right there as good. And then, yeah, you could put a semicolon after the mean on the end there. Just remember a semicolon there, and then you'll be good. Yeah, right after the return. Yep, right at the end. Yeah, that'll do it. Awesome. Cool. All right. It looks like a number of people have been able to get this one. So great job, everybody. I'll go ahead and demonstrate a couple ways you could do this. So just in my workspace over here, I'll demonstrate. So we have these three variables, A, B, and C. I saw most people did it this way, where you could do A plus B plus C divided by 3, but you'll run into an issue here where this takes precedence over the rest of the operations. So we want to do a parentheses here and make sure we just do something like that to divide those out. Another thing that you could do is you could declare multiple variables, right? So that you could say the sum is equal to A plus B plus C, and then you can get the average here is going to be the sum divided by 3, and then we can return the average just like that, right? And so either way will work as long as we make sure to do the, what did I do here? This declaration, oh, I redeclared the same thing here, the name average. Maybe we want to call this AVG, just so we don't have that warning there. Cool. So awesome. So we'll move on to the next stage here. So let's jump into it. So for this one, just to demonstrate real quick, we have an array of numbers that is going to be stored in storage. Storage in Ethereum is this area where you can actually have persistence. It's the most expensive stuff. So if you've been seeing high gas prices lately, anything that changes storage is where you're going to see the most expensive gas costs, right? Changing even one value in storage is going to be quite expensive. These numbers are going to be stored in storage there. And then we're going to have this constructor where we're going to put some numbers in there. We don't have to change this. Our goal for this stage is to come into the average function and find the average of all the elements in the numbers array. So if you're familiar with arrays from other languages, this should be pretty familiar. For loops and array.length are things that are available to you in Solidity. So find the average of it and then return that number, the average there. That's the goal of this stage. Way to go, JD. First person done again. Awesome job. So for those of you who are doing Solidity for the first time here, take your time. We still have 5 minutes on the stage before I'll show you the solution. I'll send you over the documentation and the little chat icon. So if you want to look up documentation while you're trying to figure this out, I'll send that over to you. So GR8, the only thing it's yelling at you for is declaring your I. So if you declare the I with a uint before the I, you'll be in good shape there, and that'll succeed. And then Jennifer, you have the right idea with declaring the sum there. You just have to divide by the number's length instead of dividing by the number's I. That way you get the average of everything there. Yeah. Yep. And then you actually passed. It's giving you some warnings because you have the I in there. You don't have to redeclare it now that you're not using it outside of the for loop. But that actually passed. So great job. Awesome. Okay. It looks like everyone was able to get pretty far on that, or many people were able to get through. So let me go ahead and just display the solution over here. So I'll demonstrate it in my workspace. So for the average, what we'd want to do, right, we have this array of numbers. So we want to loop over them. So we have a for loop. We could also do like a while loop, right? But the for loop is just really convenient syntax for this. So we're going to want to loop over all the numbers. Oh, no underscore there. Length, I++. You'll notice one thing about this function is it's actually a view. This is as opposed to a pure function where you don't touch any state. In this case, we are looking up state, right? So in that case, it's view because we are looking up storage, but we're not modifying any storage. So that's an important piece to note there. And then, so for every number, we can get the number, right? And we could store it inside of the numbers variable. And then we're going to want to get the sum, which we could start off at 0. And I saw a couple people do this too, where they left the sum undefined, right? And by default, the uint variable is set to 0. So this is perfectly valid. And then you could say sum plus equals the number, and we could return the sum, right? This will work. Another thing that you could do, so let's just see that work first. Oop, I did some, divided by numbers.length. Cool. The other thing that you could do here is you can actually do like an implicit return, which is an interesting syntax if you're not familiar with it, where you can actually declare the variable up here inside of the returns, and then you don't need to declare it here. And then, well, this is kind of awkward actually, doing it the sum way. We might want to like make it the average, and then the average is really going to be AVG is equal to sum divided by numbers.length. In this case, the AVG is going to be returned implicitly without that return syntax, which might be a little bit awkward to see for the first time, but you'll run across this quite often in smart contracts. That's another way to do it. Cool. So we'll jump into the next code stage. So for this next one, we have a mapping of balances. So this is kind of similar to if you've ever seen a token smart contract. This is kind of like that, right? Like an ERC20 contract. So in this case, we are keeping a mapping, which you can think of this as like a hash, if you've ever used one of those in another language, or like an object in JavaScript. It's sort of like that, right? Where you have a key and a value. In this case, the key is going to be the address, and the value is going to be the unsigned integer. So in order to look up the unsigned integer, you just need to, or to look up the unsigned integer, which is the balance, you need to fill in some sort of address here. So anyone can buy this token, right? In this case. And all they do is they send Ether to this function. And you could do so because it's a payable function. So you can send Ether to this function. So in this case, we're going to take the message.value. This is going to be the amount of Ether in way. And we're going to add it to the balances of, or the balance of the person calling this function, which is available via this message.sender. You'll notice this message is not defined anywhere. It's a global variable available to us in Solidity. It is kind of like a metadata about the specific function or about the specific message that is calling into this function. So in this case, we can look up the person calling the function and the amount of Ether that they're transferring. So we don't have to modify the buy function. What we're going to do is we're going to modify another average function. In this case, we want to find the average of all these addresses. So we're taking in an array of addresses, and we want to find the average balance of all these addresses. One thing that you will need to do is you're going to need to look up the balances from this balances mapping to get their average from there, right? So to look up something inside of a balances mapping, if you have an address, right, like address is 0, you can do this, and this will be your balance. So I could say that, and this would be my balance. And we want to look up each address's balance and then get the average and return that. Yeah, for anyone who has just tuned in, what we're doing is like a live workshop here. So if you want to participate, you can still join at the link below. where you can hop in. You just need to enroll, and then you can go right in from there into the workspace that we're in. You're more than welcome to join late and just start coding along. Yeah, so we're doing like a live workshop, still going to be going for another 10 minutes. So if you want to hop in here and have a little fun, play around with some code, feel free to do so. Wow, JD, way to go. So to give us enough time to get to the last stage, I'm going to code this out in my workspace. So if you want to look up my workspace, you can go to the participant list, which is at the top left corner with the little people icon. And you can go to my workspace and press watch. And then you could see me code out the solution here just to keep us on schedule so we have time for the last stage here. But if you're still working, go ahead and work away. Okay, I don't mean to rush you guys. We'll finish this stage up in about 60 seconds, just so we have time to move on to the last one. So if you're working, keep working away, and I will push us forward momentarily. Okay, in the interest of time, I'm just going to go ahead and show the solution and get us onto the last one. Great job to everyone who completed this one. This one was tough, and we're going to get a little bit tougher on the next one. So for this one, similar concept, right? We are looping over a bunch of variables inside of an array, which actually doesn't happen too often in Solidity. These use cases are a little bit far in between, just due to the fact that we want to not do too much iteration, right? You want to keep it as low as possible, how many lookups you do and how many storage variables you're changing per operation inside of the smart contracts. So in this case, though, we are looking for that balance, right? And because this is a view function, most of the time we're just going to be calling this, as a lookup, right? So we'll be calling this as a lookup. It won't cost any gas. So this one is to help us actually look up the average of all of these balances with these particular addresses. And in this case, what we're doing is we start out with that sum that's set to 0. Implicitly it is, right? And then we can look up the balances by providing each of the addresses to the balances mapping to find that value. And again, dividing it by the addresses.length. So final stage here. Cool. So this is the last stage, still staying to that theme of finding the average. But in this case, what we are going to do is we're going to have a bunch of members, and you can kind of think of this as a DAO, right? Where you have a bunch of members inside of the DAO, a decentralized autonomous organization, where you have a bunch of members who are listed by their addresses. Now, what we have here is this array, and what we want to do is we want to pay each one of these members equally. So we are going to split out the payment of Ether among all of these members. So this function is payable. So what will actually happen is we will have a message.value inside of here that we can refer to get the amount of Ether in way that is being sent to this function. And we could split it amongst each one of the members and send it to them. So the goal here is to send it to those members. So to send to a member, you would take the individual member that you want to send to, and you could put an I in here or whatever you want to index to, and you could say transfer, and then send that amount over to them in way. So the goal here is to split that amongst people. We only have a couple minutes here, so good luck to anyone who wants to get this done. I'll stop demonstrating there. Well done, JD. First finished on all 4 stages. Really great job. Cool. So I hope you all enjoyed this. This is the first time we've shown this classroom off here as a live demo. I think this was really cool. Everyone did a really great job. If you want to do more of these types of things, we do run workshops regularly at chainshot.com. Hopefully you can get more practice in on your Solidity skills through the tutorial that you had signed up for. You can go back to the dashboard and do some of these exercises on your own. And good luck at ETHDenver. We started this project 3 years ago at ETHDenver. So this is really exciting for us to be here today, and hope you guys find a project that excites you and you build something really, really cool. So that's it. Thank you all for attending the talk.
Thanks, Dan. We appreciate you. And yes, ChainShot is an alumni. Congrats on the progress. We love seeing these kinds of stories.
Yeah. Yeah, super cool. Come a long way.
It certainly has. Thanks again.
Thanks, John.